Nishioka is a man of many names, such as Aomori's Messi, the injured guy, the GOAT, or the LeBron of Blue Lock. And today I wanted to make a video speculating and theorizing about him, and just going over what really happened to him, and how I believe he was sabotaged in the story. I'll also go over what I think his future looks like. Anyway, let's get right into it. So we actually see this GOAT in the first chapter, as when Kira and Isagi enter, Kira immediately recognizes Nishioka, and, like mentioned earlier, calls him the Messi of Aomori. And I mean, just look at the guy. He clearly knows that he is levels above everyone in there. Anyway, after that, it actually takes a while until he gets mentioned again, and it's in the second selection when Naruhaya and Baru had gone to the 2 versus 2 room after losing, and Naruhaya explained that their third player was Nishioka and that he got chosen, even though Baru scored 4 goals because the other team thought that he was too selfish and would bring disarray. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking now. Baru was clearly better as he scored 4 goals and Nishioka scored 0. However, I believe that there is more to it and that Nishioka saved himself and didn't want to destroy his cover. Now, I know that this sounds crazy, but let me cook. Now after that, we fast forward to the World 5 game. We saw Nico, Saramadara, Hiyori, and Ishikari walking out. But no Nishioka, and that's because he was injured in the game versus the World 5. Now here is where the dark and horrible truth starts to appear. Now Nishioka and his team of Nico, Saramadara, Hiyori, and Ishikari walked out to play against the World 5. Everything was fine at first, and the World 5 did get the first goal by using Loki's insane speed, which is fair as he is just overall broken, so you can't really do anything about it. The second and third goal also went to the World 5 by Luna and Adam, just being broken as well and completely destroying them. However, this is where it gets spicy, as Nico, being the brains of the team, had carefully analyzed their plays, and he came up with a plan to destroy them. Now let's be honest, both Saramadara and Ishikari is pretty much useless, so they really wasn't that involved in Nico's plan, as the main pillars were himself, Hiyori, and obviously Nishioka. As they had worked their way up during the second selection, Nico was well aware of Hiyori's amazing passing skills and Nishioka's raw talent and insane plays, so he instructed them to play together and that Nico would start with the ball and then pass it towards Hiyori. The two of them would play safe before Nishioka spotted a breakthrough in the World 5's defense, and it didn't take long for Nishioka to find it, as he saw that Pablo, who was on his side, was not entirely in the game and was thinking about other things, so he snuck behind him, kind of like Otoya usually does. However, there's a difference between Otoya and Nishioka, as Nishioka was able to completely get behind him without him even spotting him at all, which is when Hiyori passed a flawless pass to Nishioka. Pablo was confused at first as they passed the ball behind him, but when he looked back, he was shocked to see Nishioka there, who had just trapped the ball. Everyone else was also blown away as they were standing high up on the field as they had their guards down and didn't think that they would need to go all out. However, luckily, Loki was standing at the back line and closer to his goal than Nishioka was, which made Hiyori's pass in play and not an offside pass. However, unfortunately, Loki was still standing on the other side as Pablo had the other side. This made it so that the goal was pretty much open and Nishioka used one of his powerful shots and shot it against the goal. Now, the trajectory and the power were all flawless, and it had the perfect positioning, but unfortunately, Loki is just so overpowered that he was able to just in time catch up with the ball and stop it from going in, as he is just someone who happened to be born fast, as the second GOAT, Isagi, said. Anyway, this made the World 5 really come back to reality as they realized how close they were to let a goal go in. Loki, still in shock, passed the ball to Luna, who was up on the field, and he shot it against the goal. He was still stunned from what he had just witnessed from Nishioka, which is why the shot wasn't perfect, and far from it, as Ishikari was there, and was able to just in time head it away, thanks to his insane height. This made it so that Team Nishioka was still in control of the ball, and the same thing happened as Ishikari passed it to Nico, who forwarded it to Hiyori, who sent it right away to Nishioka. However, Nishioka had gone towards their side during the World 5's attack, which is why he now was faced with all 5 of them. Silva started to go towards him, but not even the muscle demon Silva could do anything, as Nishioka's dribbling was out of this world. Silva himself even said that it was beautiful, and that it was the best he had ever seen, hence his nickname, the Aomori Messi by the way, as his dribbling is godly. Anyway, he got past Silva. After that was Luna, who tried to stop him. However, if you think that someone like Luna could stop Nishioka alone, then you would be dead wrong, as Nishioka used the advantage that all of them were still shocked by his power, which made Luna insanely easy to nutmeg. Luna looked back in an instant, but at that time it was already too late, as Nishioka was too far gone. Loki and Pablo then realized that they needed to work together to stop Nishioka, even though the World 5 doesn't really work together. They knew that this was an exception. Anyway, they were standing like two bodyguards in front of Nishioka, but once again, they were no match for someone like Nishioka, who made it look like he was going to dribble to the right, so Pablo went to defend. However, it was all a feint. He then did the same thing towards the left side where Loki was. Now Loki was dead certain that he would go there, as he didn't think that Nishioka would do two feints in a row. However, he couldn't have been more wrong, as that's exactly what he did. And then, as both of them looked like they had question marks above their heads, Nishioka made a rainbow flick over them and just went in between them, leaving them looking at him exactly how Kira looked at Isagi in the first selection. Anyway, Nishioka was in his own world, and it felt like he was on top of the whole universe. He now saw the goal clearly and went to take a shot, as he knew that he would make it. But just then, Adam came and slide tackled Nishioka right when he was about to shoot, making him fall to the floor and losing the ball. They then acted quickly, as Loki got a hold of the ball and sent it to one of the other players, who scored, as Nishioka pretty much is their whole team, and without him, they had no chance of stopping him. Nishioka then got up and looked at all of the World 5, who was starting to shake as his aura was overflowing like nothing they had seen before. Nishioka just said that they were a lot weaker than what he had expected and that this would be fun. This only made them more scared as they realized that Nishioka hadn't even used nearly any of his real power. The World 5 then came up with a plan to destroy Nishioka, as they knew that if he was to continue to play, then he would embarrass them, and that when he went to the real world, they would all be forgotten by the insane difference in skill. Anyway, the game was then back on, and Nishioka got the ball. However, right away, all of the World 5 players rushed towards him. Now Nishioka at that time was daydreaming, as it felt too easy for him, which caused him to react too late to the World 5's attack. Before he realized what was going on, Loki had already kicked him his leg, which made him fall to the floor. After that, Pablo went and just gave him a right hook to the face before Luna, Silva and Adam went in for the final kill, as they brutally started kicking and punching him, kind of like the Wanama brothers did towards Khan in the first selection. However, Luna, Silva and Adam are strong, and they used their full powers to completely immobilize Nishioka, so they didn't stop even after hearing his bones snap. After that, Loki took the ball again and made the final goal of the match. They went to celebrate, not because they had won the game, but because they had just saved their football careers from being overtaken by Nishioka. However, as they then looked at him, they were frozen to stone as his mere glance made them feel afraid, and that this wasn't over, and they then rushed out of the field. This could also be backed up by looking at how sad Nico, Ishikari, Saramadara and Hiyori looks after the match, like they look completely destroyed, and we are even able to see a teardrop if we zoom into Hiyori's face close enough. Anyway, that's why he wasn't in the U20 match or the third selection. However, what about the Neo Egoist League then? Well, it took a while for Nishioka to recover from the brutal and insane beating he took from the World 5, which made it so that he was only able to play in the third match in the Neo Egoist League, which was against the Ubers. Now, I don't want to repeat myself again, however it was pretty much the same story there. Nishioka was obviously a starting player, as Chris Prince had recognized how truly talented he was, and said that he was almost better than himself. However, because of that, his time in the game was also short-lived, as he got out on the field, and the game started against the Ubers. However, just as the game started, Chris Prince activated his star change system, which made him able to play in the game. Everyone thought that it was a weird play, as the players hadn't even had time to play with the ball, but thought that he probably just wanted to show off. However, that was far from the truth, as when the match started again, and Nishioka had gotten the ball, Chris signaled to Agi, and both of them went and completely started beating him up again. The match just stopped, and every single players went and joined in. Even the goalkeepers thought why not, and went towards it. Anyway, after they were done, Nishioka was once again unable to play, as he couldn't even stand up, which is why his offer only landed at a 3 million bid, because they weren't able to see his true power, as he was only in control of the ball for like 1 second before the attack started. Now why did Chris Prince do this? Well, he liked the World 5 players were scared off by Nishioka's power and true potential, so they felt they needed to stop him right there and now. And as Nishioka didn't expect that his own team would attack him, he never saw it coming. Anyway, him only getting a 3 million offer is why he came last in the Neo Egoist League and was eliminated. However, fear not, as it's not over for a player with such a power. Nishioka will wait until his damages once again recovers before he then joins the club that bid on him. And there on out, he will come back as the main villain of the story, as he will take revenge on the whole world of football. So just forget about Noah, Loki, or even Kaiser, as in the end, they won't be nearly as much off a villain as Nishioka will be towards the end. He just have to wait for his damages to recover before he can seek his revenge again. Now I have to preference this by saying that this is only a theory. However, I actually phoned up the author, and he couldn't confirm anything, but he said that this was something very confidentially, and was amazed at how I could figure it out. So that should give you guys an idea on how true this theory really is. Anyway, let me know what you think about this theory down below, if I cooked or not. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel. And while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.